jobs are going to become less secure moving forward. We're not going to be able to rely on a company or an industry being able to pay our way for the next few decades because it's just too chaotic because of artificial intelligence. Let's crack into it. Got a few pieces of news, nothing massive, I would say. We've had some huge investment news over the last few days, so it's been a pretty busy week already. We're going to look at the potential of advertising inside of ChatGPT. Looks like it's happening. Looks like it's moving forward. We're going to look at something called Neon, which is really interesting, which is currently number 2 in the App Store. And it allows users to record their phone calls and sell their phone call data to AI firms. Okay, cool. Then we're going to look at the Nano Banana Pinterest competitor. And then I want to take a little bit of a diversion and talk about Qwen, which is a Chinese model, which I think is flying under the radar for a lot of people, but they've just launched not one, but I think 1, 2, 3, 4, and then some image models. I think 6 new models yesterday. So Qwen are firing on all cylinders and I think flying under the radar. So I want to show you how you get access, what you can use it for, etc. And then a few other things. The CFA Exam, Chartered Financial Accountant, has just been aced by artificial intelligences. And so we're going to talk about what that actually means for accountants moving forward. So lots of bits and pieces, but no big news, I would say. So hello everybody on TikTok. Thank you for your patience for the people who arrived on the stream and then watched me knock over a glass of water and then watch me very quickly shut down the stream and run and get a towel. Let's jump in and look at OpenAI. So first of all, OpenAI, they are on the hunt for an ads chief, apparently. So this has been a rumor. This has been something that people have talked about for years, basically. When are ChatGPT creators, OpenAI, going to add advertising into their platform? And it generally is considered a when rather than an if. It seems like such a no-brainer. So it looks like they are on, so it says Fiji Simo. Is that her name? Yes, it is. It's a lovely name. Fiji Simo is on the hunt for someone to oversee all monetization efforts, including, yes, bringing advertising to ChatGPT. Fiji Simo, OpenAI's new CEO of applications, so presumably applications like ChatGPT, which is a chatbot, is on the hunt for someone who can help the company make billions of dollars in profit. They need it. Sources say that Simo has recently been meeting with potential candidates, including some of her former Facebook colleagues, to lead a new team that will be tasked with bringing ads to ChatGPT. The role will oversee all monetization efforts across OpenAI, including subscriptions. Talks are ongoing, but the hire is expected to report directly to Simo, who officially started at OpenAI last month after leaving her former post as CEO of Instacart. She oversees most of OpenAI except for its research, infrastructure, consumer hardware and safety team, which report directly to Sam Altman. Let's have a look at Fiji Simo. A French-American businesswoman and incoming CEO of applications at OpenAI and the outgoing CEO of Instacart. Very impressive. Prior to OpenAI and Instacart, she spent a decade at Facebook, where she was one of the top executives as the head of Facebook. She founded the Metrodora Institute, a health clinic and research institute, and is currently president of the Metrodora Foundation. She is on the board of directors at OpenAI and Shopify. So, apparently one of the priorities for her incoming as the head of applications is monetization, and one of those monetization routes is advertising. This is coming from sources that haven't been disclosed. So whether or not there's any veracity to this, we don't really know. But this is something that makes a lot of sense for OpenAI, specifically how they monetize their non-paying users. So they have 700 million weekly active users, which is absolutely huge amount. Some pay the $20 a month, $200 a month, whatever it is. They have a new plan in India specifically, which is, I forget how much, but it's a lower cost. But otherwise, they are spending money to provide those 700 million people with access to AI. So one way they can monetize that potentially is to run adverts and listed posts and recommendations within AI that will allow them to monetize. But let's say I wanted to buy a new pair of speakers. One of the first things I do now is I will go to ChatGPT and I will ask, and it will grab research from Reddit, from various websites, and it will help me hone in on something that I want to buy. ChatGPT's creators, OpenAI, stand to make a huge amount of money because it's like a recommendation engine. And I think the people who are doing thorough research on ChatGPT are probably pretty close to making that purchase decision as well. And when you combine that with potentially OpenAI releasing a browser and then being able to cookie us depending on what we've been looking at on their browser, and then flowing that information through to ChatGPT to send us retargeted adverts, that is an incredibly powerful ecosystem and a lot of money that they're leaving on the table right now. Now, it's going to annoy people, especially, and it's going to depend a lot on how open they are about their sponsored listings. This has always been a push and pull with a company like Google, because Google make more money if they sneakily give us the paid for listings, but they erode trust, and ultimately they could lose their user base if they lose the trust. And that's exactly what happened to Yahoo. The Yahoo search engine, they started to give sponsored paid for listings at the top of Yahoo without disclosing that they were paid for. People found out, people moved over to Google because Google were a lot more open about it. So it's a balance here. How much do you work for your end users, the people who are using Google, the people who are using Yahoo, the people who are using ChatGPT, and how much do you work for your advertisers? You have to balance it out, because if you lose your user base, you have nothing to sell to your advertisers. And remember that most of these companies, Google, Facebook, or Meta, who own Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, etc., they are primarily advertising companies. Yes, they have technology. Yes, they build these social media platforms, but their product, the product that they sell is our attention. The fact that we spend our time on their platform allows them to serve us adverts, and because their customer are the companies who pay for those adverts. So we might see something similar with ChatGPT. My guess would be it's going to be on the free plan. So if you don't pay for ChatGPT, then you're going to get adverts, which is going to annoy people. But I understand why they'll do that. And I think that is fair. It's not a great user experience, but I think that's where they'll go, in the same way that we use Google for free and we get served adverts. This has been something they've been discussing for a while. I think nobody wants to be the first to add advertisements into their chatbot, because they are going to take all of the flack. If OpenAI move first, everyone's going to be super angry. If Gemini do it with Google, which makes sense because Google is an advertising company, they're going to get the flack. So this feels like nobody really wants to go first. It's a game of chicken. But as soon as one of them does, you can bet within 6 months, all of the models are going to be running adverts. Let me hop over to some questions. Oh, cool, I guess. It's a nice bonus, though, and thank you for sending them. It lets me know that I'm moving in the right direction and this is useful, and that's more important than the 21 cents that I get from it. Do you think ChatGPT will improve their advanced voice? Yeah, they will. I know a lot of people are annoyed with it, especially compared to standard voice. They've actually kept standard voice in for now because of all the backlash against advanced voice mode. I think one of the problems with advanced voice mode is that it's a bit too verbose, it's a bit too chirpy, and it interrupts you a lot. You can actually stop it from interrupting you. So the way that I do that when I have to use advanced voice mode is I will say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Do not interrupt me until I say over. So radio rules. So when I say over, then ChatGPT can begin talking. But the fact that I have to use a workaround little hack in order to get it to be usable, that's not great. And I know a lot of people are very annoyed with advanced voice mode. I think they are listening to that criticism, and they, as a result of that, let's see, standard voice mode. Here we go. So there's a guy called Nick Turley. I can't believe I found that so quickly. So Nick Turley, who is their head of ChatGPT, I think. Yep, head of the ChatGPT app. So last month we announced everyone now has access to advanced voice mode. So this was their big announcement when they released GPT-5. They're like, and by the way, you're all going to get advanced voice mode. Awesome. And what they didn't really mention at that launch was, oh, we're going to take away your standard voice mode. So they said, you're all going to get advanced voice mode. Good for you. How cool is that? So last month we announced that everyone now has access to advanced voice mode, with usage limits expanded from minutes per day to hours for free users and near unlimited for plus. I've never hit the limit. I don't use it that much though, to be honest. We also announced that standard voice mode would be retired after a 30-day sunset. We've heard feedback that standard mode is special to many and we want to get the transition right. So the standard voice mode will stay available while we address some of your feedback in advanced voice. Stay tuned, more improvements to advanced voice mode coming very soon. So initially they were going to sunset standard mode, and then they said, whoa, okay, we hear you. You don't want us to do that. You hate advanced voice mode. So we are still going to move to advanced voice mode, but we're going to take a bit longer and we're going to implement some of the suggestions that you're giving us. Not quite sure how that is going. Let's see if there's any updates on it. No, it's going to be hard to see. I'd have to look around. I don't know how that's going. The thing is, whenever there is a change in the model or a change in the application, it means there has to be a change in workflow, and that annoys people when they're used to something working and then suddenly they're given a version that doesn't work with their workflow, or in some cases it's just worse. I see Peter Yang here saying, make it so I can monologue for 10 minutes without it interrupting me, and then it will write down everything I say in a cleaned up way. That's personally how I use voice mode. So I do it on Claude for this reason, because I can literally I'm just recording a voice note basically, where I will explain an article or a chapter or a guide or whatever it is I want to write. And it would just be stream of consciousness with me saying, oh, maybe we can start with a paragraph about this, and oh no, actually let's move this paragraph up here, and these are the themes I want to talk about. It's a complete mess, but Claude is smart enough to take that complete bumbling mess from me and convert it into something valuable. Advanced voice mode does not do that, because you start talking to it and it's like, oh, what a great idea, and starts talking back to you. It's like, please shut up. Got a few. Do you think I drive a lot and can't always text? Yeah, I feel you. So there are actually voice mode applications, and some of them which work with Apple CarPlay as well. I don't know if you have CarPlay in your car, but if you have a screen, there are some that allow you trigger from CarPlay, which is really cool. Hopefully Siri or Android or whatever you're using, whatever your phone, hopefully this kind of AI will be built into our phones soon enough, and then you'll just be able to dictate and give and chat to voice modes. But for now, your best bet is probably one of the dedicated applications that allows you to do voice chats and voice mode. I can't think of any off the top of my head. 4+, there's loads of them though. Whisper transcription, Super Whisper iOS, etc., etc. They're all called Whisper because that's the underlying model underneath with GPT. What is the best AI app for lawyers? I don't know, but I don't know specifically because that's not really my field. I work more in marketing and entrepreneurship, but I'm sure there are some. It's going to be a question of how accurate are they, because hallucinations in law, that's a big problem. Having a hallucination when you're copywriting a sales page, it's fine. In a legal case, that is a real problem. If there are any lawyers or legal people who work in the legal profession, I'd love to know. Mate, your eyebrows are wild. I haven't done that. I haven't smoothed them down. Yes, my eyebrows they are real. I've had people ask me in videos like, did ChatGPT do your eyebrows? What's the best image gen for precision and consistency? So I've been told at the moment Higgsfield is very good at this. I would check out Higgsfield. The Higgsfield seems to be very good at consistency and for character consistency, and you can access it through the normal channels. So where can you get Higgsfield? I'd check out Higgsfield, but I'm not fully sure. Afraid. I don't really do much art or visual stuff. It just hasn't been my focus. I should though if I want to grow on social media, because that is the stuff that people want to see, obviously, because it's very visually appealing. So whenever people do videos on new Nano Banana or Higgsfield or whatever it is, they do really well. For someone looking to build a career around AI, what would be your advice? Okay, it depends on your background and what level you want to get into. There's using AI on a daily basis. That is something we all need to learn, everybody, regardless of what you are doing. There is building with AI, in which case there's two levels. There is vibe coding, which is using a tool like Lovable or Bolt or Base 44, Replete, etc. And then there is using AI alongside your programming skills. So if you can code, if you can program as well, then you can use vibe coding as a tool. So that's building with AI. That's kind of second level. Or there is building AI. So not building with AI, but building AI. Subtle difference. That means working on fundamental models. That is a much more complicated skill. That requires the computer science degrees, mathematics, probably PhDs as a researcher. And that's where, when you hear about people making hundreds of millions in compensation, that's because they are the engineers who are able to build at that level. So it depends, if you're building a career, it depends on your technical background and what level you want to enter at. If you want to build AI, then you're probably still going to need to be, you will need to be a programmer or a mathematician or an engineer to enter that world. If you want to build with AI, then knowing how to program, really useful, but less and less required at the level of building proof of concepts and minimum viability products if you are an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, this is really exciting because you can build proof of concepts, take them to market and sell very quickly instead of spending months and months building up a product. I personally recommend that as the route that a lot of people take because it's a really exciting time to be building a product. It's a lot easier than it's ever been. It's a lot easier to build and launch a business. The main problem now is distribution. How do you get it out there? That's marketing and distribution. Or you can focus on knowing a lot about AI within your specific sector. So let's say you work in law firms, for example. Somebody asked about what are the best AIs for law. I don't know because I'm not a lawyer. I don't work in that sector. For somebody who does know about that sector, law, then they're in an incredibly powerful position to go and help law firms, to go and help the people with questions like that one above. So if you know a lot about AI and you know a lot about your domain, your industry domain, then you can sit between those two and you can educate. And that puts you in a very powerful position because first you teach people, you show them how to use AI, you show them why they should care and why they need to not fall behind. And then from there, you can do advisory work, you can do consultation work, you can do implementation work. The world's your oyster. So that's where you'll be creating content. So you'll be doing short form video on social media. You might have a newsletter, a blog, maybe you write a book. You grow your brand within that intersection between your industry, law, and the world of artificial intelligence. And you become the guy or the gal for lawyers and artificial intelligence. That's a really powerful place to be as well. So those would be the two routes I would say are very profitable at the moment. 3, if you've got a PhD in computer science and machine learning, great, go and become an engineer. So the two routes are left for the rest of us, the people without the PhDs, are becoming an expert and teaching people in your industry how to use artificial intelligence. So you become the translation and the bridge. If you want to get busy, building software and using programming for your particular industry, using artificial intelligence and disrupting what's happening in your industry with new product. I think those two routes are very profitable at the moment. And both of them are, by their very nature, entrepreneurial. I think that jobs are going to become less secure moving forward. We're not going to be able to rely on a company or an industry being able to pay our way for the next few decades because it's just too chaotic because of artificial intelligence. So I think having an additional string to your bow, whether it's consulting, whether it's building products, whether it's running workshops, having that is going to allow you to weather the big changes. By all means, keep your job, but you can't rely on your job to still exist in 10, 20 years from now. Joseph says, I'm coming from marketing. I've done affiliate marketing, now looking to transition fully into AI. You can still do affiliate marketing with AI. There's a lot of stuff going on. The question there is using SEO or GEO, generative engine optimization, and how to drive traffic to affiliate products in the world of AI, because website traffic is dropping, which makes affiliate marketing less attractive, but there are other ways to do it. You can apply AI within the world of affiliate marketing. AI in and of itself is not really a business model. You need to use AI with other things. It's a bit like saying, I'm doing internet, it's too wide, or I'm doing computers. AI needs to be applied to other working business models. So you can get affiliate marketing and you can apply AI in it, and you can work out how to help your affiliate marketing business. But AI itself is too amorphous, it's too shapeless. I was looking into AI ethics roles, but feel I still have lots of gaps as a digital director. What does an AI ethics role mean? That's becoming the AI ethics officer for a company to help them navigate the use of AI? Sounds very cool. It's unfortunately not a world I know enough about, but there are some very smart people in that world. Joseph, thank you so much. Gave lots of clarity. You're very welcome. Annie, exactly as you described. Okay, I do know what it is roughly then. AI ethics is an interesting one because it's super important. We need to work out what we're doing with this stuff because it's an important technology. But a lot of the people who are in the field, not all of them, but a lot of them are anti-AI, which kind of complicates it, because if it is just saying, oh, we need to stop this or we need to slow it down, it's not really going to happen. So I think AI ethicists who they've realized, okay, this technology is here, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to mitigate its effects on society? How are we going to deal with things like people falling in love with AI, the fact that people are having sexual relationships with AIs, etc. People are using it at work to generate work slop, etc. How are we going to deal with this now that it's here? I think that's an incredibly valuable role, and there are not enough people taking it seriously. I would say there's people, again, these are content creators, but people like CJ Trowbridge, it's well worth following. He's a bit more controversial, but I think very useful. And that kind of whole circle, they talk about AI ethics in a very intelligent way. Okay, their graduate thesis was in ethical artificial intelligence, and their MBA thesis was on the future of data center strategies around AI. So definitely look up CJ Trowbridge. They have a website, but they're also available on TikTok primarily. Although I think they got banned recently from doing streams, which is a shame, because they're one of the smartest voices in the space. So I would check out their work. And there's also Liz, who runs Future Initiative. I don't know what so Future, if you, Liz the developer, at Liz the developer on TikTok and Instagram, etc., is also very in this space. So I'll check out what they're saying, because they know the space a lot more than me. Hey Jan, hello from Finland. Cool. Very annoying. I can see it peaking though. That's the only problem. Okie dokie. Next piece is something called Neon, which I'd never heard of until today. And I have the feeling that's probably going to be the case with lots of people in our space, that we haven't necessarily heard of it. And I just totally wrecked my stream. There we go. So Neon is the number two social app on the Apple App Store. I'd never heard of it, which pays users to record their phone calls and sells data to AI firms. Okay, so a new app offering to record your phone calls, oh thanks, and pay you for the audio so it can sell them to AI data companies is, unbelievably, the number 2 app in Apple's US App Store social networking section. The app, Neon Mobile, let's open it up. Oh wow. Pitches itself as a money-making tool offering hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year for access to your audio conversations. Neon's website said the company pay 30 cents per minute when you call other Neon users, up to $30 per day maximum for making calls to anyone else. The app also pays for referrals. So, okay, they are harvesting audio data to sell to AI companies, but they're being incredibly open about it, which I appreciate. On Wednesday, Neon was spotted number 2 on the iPhone's top 3 charts for social apps. Number 7 top overall app. According to the terms of service, the company's mobile app can capture users' inbound and outbound phone calls. Whew. However, Neon's marketing claims to only record your side of the call unless it's with another Neon user. I'm not sure how they'd actually split that file or whether they'd bother to split it. The data is then being sold to AI companies, generically, Neon's terms of service state, for the purpose of developing, training, testing and improving machine learning models, artificial intelligence tools and systems and related technologies. This is a big business. The models, the foundation models, need more data. They need information. They need more data in order to make the models better, because they've already trained on all of the internet pretty much. A few generations ago, they'd already pulled in all of the internet. So now new data, novel data, private data, which doesn't belong to the other models, is incredibly valuable. And things like AI labeling gigs, it's one of these like side hustles that you'll see being touted about, oh, you're going to answer questions as an expert, or you're going to label these images as an expert, and you're going to help to train the AIs. And it's a way to make money, because the AI companies do pay for this. It's part of the post training. So after they've built the base model, it will generally go to humans in order to help to finalize it. This is a little bit data different. It looks like they're pulling in phone data. So they want naturalized human conversations between people on their telephones. It's mad that it is just so open. The fact that such an app exists and is permitted on the App Store is an indication of how far AI has encroached into users' lives in areas once thought of as private. Its high ranking within the App Store, number 2, meanwhile, is proof that there is now some subsection of the market seemingly willing to exchange their privacy for pennies, regarding of the larger cost to themselves or society. Again, when we use something like Facebook, when we use something like Google, that is the Faustian bargain we are already making. We, as users, are using that stuff for free, so that our attention can be sold to advertisers. We just get to use their services for free, and this is why OpenAI will probably be doing something similar. This is the same thing, but much more explicit, where they're saying, hey, you hop on the call, we're going to record your telephone call, we're going to sell that audio data to AI companies, and we're going to pay you. So despite what Neon's privacy policy says, its terms include a very broad license to its user data. This is everything. A worldwide, exclusive, irrevocable, transferable, royalty-free, fully paid license with the right to sub-license through multiple tiers to sell, use, host, transfer, publicly display, publicly perform, including by means of digital audio transmission, communicate to the public, reproduce, modify for the purpose of formatting for display, create derivative works as authorized in these terms, and distribute your recordings in whole or in part in any media formats or through any media channel, in each instance, whether now known or hereafter developed. So we own it, basically. This leaves plenty of wiggle room for Neon to do more with its users' data. Yeah, so I'd be very interested in creating digital voices, because they'll be selling their data to companies who are making voice avatars and voice models. So do you lose your right to your voice? You certainly lose the right to those recordings. That's gone, like, for good, according to these terms of services. What does that mean for any kind of digital twins made from your voice? Yeah. Though Neon's app raises many red flags, it may technically be legal. Recording only one side of the phone call is aimed at avoiding wiretap laws. The fact that they have to avoid wiretap laws is already shifty by itself. Under the laws of many states, you have to have consent from both parties to a conversation in order to record it. Yeah. Peter Jackson, cybersecurity and privacy attorney, this is what I was wondering, how do they separate it? Privacy attorney agreed. He said to TechCrunch that the language around one-sided transcripts sounds like it could be a back way of saying that Neon records user calls in their entirety and may just remove what the other party said in the final transcript. 100%. That's definitely what they're doing. The audio file that they get is one file that has everything in it, both sides of the conversation, and then they'll use AI to strip out one of the users and leave in the other ones. Yeah, so the fact that this app exists is surprising. The fact that this app is number 2 in the App Store is wild. But apparently people are very willing to sell their personal data. They're very willing to give away their personal data when they're getting paid for it. And you get 30 cents per minute or up to $30 per day. So Neon is the app that pays you every time you talk on the phone. Phone companies profit off your data. Now you can too. Best of luck to them. They're pitching it very well. They're basically saying these companies are making money normally, but now we are opening up the ability for you to do so as well. Real money, zero effort. Make calls as usual on the app. Receive cash payouts to your LinkedIn account. Your data, your rules. Profit from your data and choose which calls to share fully and anonymously. And help make AI more diverse. Your everyday phone calls help train more representative language models, which we do need. 100% we do need. But they are using this as a marketing hook here. So that is wild that it is number 2. But this is the day and age that we live in, apparently. I don't know, would you guys use it? Tell me if you would. You get 30 cents per minute for a phone call, but you are selling the rights for usage. Next one up is a cool little idea, unless you work for Pinterest, in which case I think Pinterest is probably in panic mode right now. Is Pinterest still around? It is. I don't know if people still use Pinterest. I suppose they do. So Google is launching an AI-powered mood board app called Mixboard. It's their latest project ventures. Google's latest AI project ventures into Pinterest's territory as the company announced the launch of Mixboard, software that enables anyone to create AI-powered mood boards. So it's basically Nano Banana, but with a nice interface on the front end, which allows you to create mood boards. So instead of just creating a single image, it's going to have multiple that you can have sitting next to each other. With mixed boards, there's no need to have an established image collection to pull ideas from. Instead, users can start their own project using text prompts and have AI fill in the ideas. They have decorate my office in Japandi style, and then it has a bunch of different AI generated images which you can use as a mood board. Interestingly though, these won't be real products presumably, because that's actually how Pinterest monetizes, is that you can pin real products in your mood board and then you can make purchases. You can follow a link, make a purchase, and that is how Pinterest monetizes. Again, talking about ad strategy. The service is initially available as a public beta in the US via Google Labs. After you create images using AI, you can then ask the AI to make edits and offer other small changes. This leverages Google's new image editing model, Nano Banana, which has been enthusiastically received for its ability to handle more complex edits and make realistic images. Yeah, so I thought this is cool. It's not fully out yet. It is currently, it's in Google Labs, and it's not even in worldwide Google Labs. It's well worth signing up for Google Labs because you can get yourself on beta lists and try things out earlier. And this sounds like it's just been released in Google Labs for people in the US to play around with. This probably won't go anywhere. Google make lots of cool little tools like this. Notebook LM, for example, is just for them, it's a side project, but it's really, really cool. And very few people know about it, but it's built on their AI models. And it's just a really good wrapper for their AI models. So they come up with these cool little products, which I don't think are going to set the world on fire, but they're enough to demolish competition. Like this could potentially kill Pinterest. Although Pinterest does have that social aspect, this is probably going to be more for your personal boards. Whether or not the social aspect is enough to save Pinterest, I don't know. I genuinely don't know if people still use Pinterest anyway. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's called Mixboard from Google. If they're smart, they'll probably connect it directly into Gemini. So you'll be able to create images using Nano Banana. And then from that image, you can create a Mixboard rather than having it siloed off in its own weird little app, which is probably only available on the web version. But we'll see what happens. Katie, hey Kyle, would you like to be a guest on our AI automations podcast? Yes, for sure. I need to go on more podcasts. People need to hear me blabbing more. Yes, I'd be happy to. Send me a DM on AI automation specifically, or we can work that out in DMs. But you tell me. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. It's very hard to see them. Google Labs is good. Normally they launch after labs tests. Yes, they use them for beta tests. The great thing and the problem with Google is they just launch a lot. They just put out a huge amount of product and most of them don't go anywhere, and that's absolutely fine. Or they'll peter along for a couple of years and then they'll kill it. Like the fact that they have Google Meets, Google Hangout, they had another one, Google, I've forgotten. They had multiple video conferencing tools. That's because of Google Labs. They're always putting out, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, basically. And every once in a while they'll have a hit, and then the rest will either die or get a small group of very excited people, and then they'll kill it off after a year or so. And there's actually a website which is like the Google Graveyard, which is really funny. You can see all of their killedbygoogle.com. This is a list of their 300 killed off Google projects. Jamboard, Chromecast. I didn't know Chromecast got killed. Google Podcasts, Google Optimize. I loved Google Optimize. Google Domains. I used to buy from Google Domains. It's so sad seeing all these wonderful products that they killed. So Google Domains was around for 9 years, but they killed it off. YouTube Stories. Killed about 2 years ago. YouTube Stories, originally YouTube Reels, so it's nicked it from Instagram, allowed creators to post temporary videos. That got killed. Google Stadia. I remember that. That was in video games. They sold the controller and then streaming technology just wasn't there yet. And now people are streaming games and it is possible because we have powerful enough cloud computing, powerful enough broadband. Reddit, Google Hangouts, Google Surveys. God, yeah, go and have a look at this site. It's hilarious. So I imagine a lot of their AI products will go the same way. They will be around for a couple of years. Some people will think they're the best thing on earth, and then Google will just kill it off. The fact that Google have killed 300 products, including 25 hardware products apparently. Google Cardboard. That was the VR glasses where you stuck your phone in a bit of cardboard and you stuck it on your face. The fact that they've killed 300 products tells you just how much they are putting out. Huge amounts of product every single year. I'm going to stop reminiscing on Google Graveyard, but it is very funny. Qwen is a Chinese model, and it's made by, is it the Alibaba one? I should know this because they wanted me to sponsor it. Yeah, it's Alibaba. They keep contacting me, trying to get me to do sponsored videos, which I haven't done, and that's not why I'm covering Qwen. So Qwen is a family of large language models developed by Chinese company Alibaba. Cool. So Qwen have just launched a whole bunch of new models. And if we go over to LM Arena, they're doing pretty well. Let's pull up the leaderboards. Qwen 3 Max Preview is currently drawn for third. So it is drawn, well, just below GPT-5 High, Claude Opus 4.1, which is really good, GPT 4.5, 4.0, etc., etc. So Qwen 3 is arguably one of the best models on the planet right now. And this is Qwen 3 Max Preview. They've just released Qwen 3 Max, the actual version. So that came out yesterday. It is the most powerful language model in the Qwen series, but that's not all. They released a whole bunch yesterday. So we've got Qwen 3 Max Base. It's a 1 trillion parameter model. They've got Qwen 3 Max Instruct, which is in preview, which is a software engineering one. Then they have Qwen 3 Max Thinking Heavy. That's their reasoning model. And then they have a few others, including the image models. So Qwen 3 VL and Qwen 3 Omni Flash, which is their fast Omni model. But the big exciting one here is Qwen 3 Max, because Qwen 3 Max Preview, God, the names. The Chinese are no better at naming these things than the Americans. Qwen 3 Max Preview is currently number 3rd in the world, just below all the big ones that we know, Gemini, Claude, etc. The new version just came out yesterday, and maybe even better. We don't have the test results back yet. This is free. So if you find it hard to pay $20 a month for Claude and $20 a month for ChatGPT and $20 or whatever Grok is, etc., you can use Qwen 3 in the same way that DeepSeek was also free. They are knocking it out of the park with very powerful, very easily accessible models. People don't necessarily know where to go and get them, but it's exactly the same as ChatGPT. You're just going to Google Qwen and you'll be able to sign up. It looks like ChatGPT. There is an iPhone app. There is an Android app. It's fully available. It just doesn't have the same kind of open awareness as ChatGPT does. But these Qwen is well worth checking out if you want to have a go. I think it's also open source, so you can build with it. Like, they're doing some really cool stuff. I'm not sure if Max is open source. Let's check. Qwen 3 Max open source. It is not open source. So their Max models are not open source, but the other ones are. Yeah, so again, not a sponsored post. They do keep trying to sponsor me, but it's just me saying it's a new model. It's free and it's probably very good. I haven't had enough time to play around with it yet because it just released yesterday and I got access to it this morning, but you can go and sign up now and get it on your phone as well. Look at the questions. Built-in VPN. Oh, in Google phones. That's very cool. What are we doing for time? Yeah, we'll have a quick look at this. Saw this article. Let's have a look at it. So AI can now pass the hardest level of the CFA exam in a matter of minutes. So the CFA is the Chartered Financial Analyst exam. I've actually done level 1 because when I was getting my MBA over in America, I was like, okay, no, I'm going to move into finance. And then I realized I did not want to work in finance, but I've done level 1, which is quite easy. So AI has now passed up to level 3, which is the most difficult level, and it can do it in a few minutes. So several artificial intelligence models are now advanced enough to pass the 3-part CFA exam, even the most difficult level 3 test. Previous research, particularly from 2 years ago, found AI could clear levels 1 and 2, but struggled with level 3 due to the essay question. But now, sailing straight through it. So this is linked to a website called CFA Benchmark, where they're showing how the different models do on the CFA, and potentially unsurprisingly, Gemini 2.5 Pro is the best. It's the best at the essay score, and it's the best at the multiple choice question as well. Grok 4, that's interesting. Grok 4 is good at the multiple choice, but bad at the essay. And then what else have we got? Llama and Claude 3 Haiku, 3.5 Haiku, I don't know why they're using that, is rubbish at the multiple choice. You shouldn't be using Claude 3.5 Haiku, that's why. Examination, that has been basically mastered by artificial intelligence. So we see this used to be big and newsworthy, because it'd be like, oh, AI has passed the bar. AI has passed AP mathematics. AI has passed accountancy exams, etc. Now it goes without saying. People have obviously been developing this, working on this, tracking this. Somebody's made CFAbenchmark.com to see when this happened. But I think for the general public, we're now so used to this that it is no longer news. Yes, of course, the AIs can do all of this kind of stuff. Whereas 2-3 years ago, this would have been mind-blowing to people. It's because the bar has raised in what we consider to be impressive with artificial intelligence. So passing examinations, even the hardest examinations, is now old hat. And this is a good reminder of how entitled we all become with technology. A really good test is to go back and use GPT-3, or gosh, GPT-2 if you want, or GPT 3.5. Go and use one of the older models to see how far we have come in 2 or 3 years. Because we get used to these models so quickly, and the rate of release, and then we get annoyed that they don't do everything we want, or we get annoyed that, oh, this model from before is slightly better at such and such. Normally it's not. But if we go back a couple of years, which in terms of human history, not very long, then you get to see how far we've actually come. It's just hard to take that more historical perspective. But the fact that it has mastered the CFA exam level 3, which a couple of years ago was impossible and now is very much possible, hasn't really made headlines. There's this one headline on CNBC, but that's it. This is no longer surprising from artificial intelligences, because we've moved the goalpost back further and further so they can do exams. So I thought it was interesting in that context, because we expect so much from our artificial intelligences right now. And we're getting it for the most part. We just need to remember that whenever we get annoyed. Like I was doing a live stream yesterday, building a Republic, and everything went wrong. The 11 Labs integration with Lovable, allowing me to talk and vibe code using my voice, wasn't working. So I had to type. And it reminded me of how used to using the voice integration I am, and how good the voice integration is as well. Because suddenly I had to type, or worse, I actually used the Apple voice dictation and realized it's terrible. So I was using the one built into my Mac, absolutely rubbish. So I've become entitled to using 11 Labs' model, and now I expect that level. So when it's taken away from me briefly, I had a meltdown. I was like, I can't do this. At the same time, Claude was having reduced performance, and then Lovable crapped the bed because they were having some kind of problem with their credit system, and suddenly it wasn't giving me any answers. So I had to cut the stream short at about 40 minutes instead of the usual hour, because I was having so many technical problems. It's a good reminder of how reliant we've become on these technologies as well, that we take them for granted, using them every single day. But we only notice that when they don't work. How is the app going? It's going okay, but I have overcomplicated it by adding more features and functionality than I needed to, which I knew was a mistake at the time. It's still going ahead. I'm actually joining a hackathon tomorrow with Google, which is going to last until Wednesday. So that's also going to get in the way of building my own piece of software, because I'm going to be building something new, a social pinning service using AI. So you can see travel destinations on TikTok, on Instagram, etc., and pin them into the application. But more than that, we're going to use AI to actually locate where they are, because a lot of the time that information is missing. So I'm going to be building that over the weekend, which should be fun. OPEX or Codex are good, both great. Claude Code and Codex are both fantastic. If you are new to coding, start with something in vibe coding. Start with a Lovable, a Bolt, a Replete, etc. If you are a bit more advanced, you can use Cursor, and then you can connect it to whatever model you want. Or if you are happy to work with command line, you're a bit more advanced, then Claude Code and Codex are fantastic. And as to which is better, it's hard to tell without knowing the project. I would say start the project with both, see and test them out. because they're going to be better at different things. But they're both very good. Luke, my way, what does that speed say for the next 3 to 5, 10 and 25 years of AI? Yeah, this is the question. The speed at which we have progressed in the last 3 years. So when did ChatGPT 3.5 come out? Is it November? November the 30th, 2022. Not yet 3 years. We're about to hit the 3rd birthday in a couple of months. But the speed at which everything has increased and got better has been phenomenal, and it's easy to forget that. I think the best way to remember that is to go and use GPT 3.5 again and to realize that, oh my god, it's terrible. Let's see if we can pull it up actually, because it's fun. You can generally find it on playgrounds to mess around with. I highly recommend going and playing around with GPT 3.5, which at the time I remember being like, oh my god, this is amazing. And now you use it, it's like, oh, this is terrible. Maybe next time I'll pull up the playground and we'll have a go with it. I do actually have to, let me see, can I get it here? Yes, I think I got it. 4040, there we go, 3.5. So we've got 3.5 turbo 16K. I'm going to bring it up on screen. Hi, ChatGPT 3.5. How are you? I'm not going to ask it anything. Oh, model not found. They haven't killed it, have they? Hi, ChatGPT 3.5, how are you? Hello, I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings, but I'm here and ready to help you with any questions or topics you'd like to discuss. What's on your mind today? Actually, I'm not going to play around with it now because we're at the end of the stream, but you can access these old models, and it's a really good reminder of just how far we've come. In terms of where we're going in the next few years, it depends a little bit on whether we do hit a ceiling or a plateau with large language models. Right now, Sam Altman is asking for more money. He wants more money to build absolutely insane amounts of data centers. And a lot of money is being thrown into data centers right now. This has worked so far with large language models because brute force still worked. So just throwing more compute, more power, more GPUs at it has been sufficient to make these models better and better. Whether or not that continues is the big question. So we might hit a plateau with large language models. And there's a couple of things that happen. We can only make transistors so small, our GPUs and our data centers get bigger and bigger, and we have a limit to how much energy we can throw into them and how much the economy is going to support that without sufficient return on investment from the companies. 2, we have run out of data to put into them. We've already trained on the whole internet. This is a human civilization problem. We haven't created that much data, and the computers can get through it all in a very quick amount of time. So that's another potential bottleneck. And throwing more brute force power at it doesn't fix certain problems like hallucinations, for example, or it doesn't help them reason any better. We still need to improve the architecture and how we are building these models. So the question of where we're going to be in 10 years' time depends on all of these factors. And lots of the doomers will say, no, this is it, we're at the end. It's not going to get any better. Even if that's the case, I would argue that we still have a lot of catching up to do in terms of how we use this stuff in day-to-day life. In the same way with the internet, the basic protocol of the internet was created back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it took us a long time before we worked out, oh, we can do cool things with this, like e-commerce. We can sell things online using this new technology, or we can build networks where people can talk to each other and have profiles. Like social networks didn't happen until much later in the lifespan of the internet. So we build technologies on top of a general purpose technology like the internet, like electricity, like computers. I think AI is similar, generative AI is similar in that we have this base level technology. The question now is, what do we build on top of that? And we haven't even scratched the surface there. So that's the really exciting stuff. Not only the huge amounts of money and energy being thrown at these data centers, it's what can we as humans build on top of this technology, on top of the foundational model. So that's a really cool thing. I'm going to finish up. Thank you, everybody. I will be doing my Build in Public stream later today at 4 p.m. Join me there. You can find all of these news stories, discussions, etc. on YouTube. They get edited, cleaned up, and they appear on YouTube the day after. There's also a free newsletter. The link is in my bio, which has the written summary of what we've discussed, plus any additional resources, links back to the articles, etc., if you want to look into them yourself. So make sure you're signed up, subscribe to the newsletter, totally free, and to YouTube. and I will see you guys